I've been reflecting a lot again. I'm in this transitional period in my life. I was just reading about the lunar eclipses that are happening right now and how the period between these two is a period of letting go. And I feel like that's very accurate for my life. I am letting go of old things and I am preparing for the new. And there are so many things that I've noticed, like really got on the bottom of it. For example, I am currently deleting images off my phone and I'm back in year 2021. And I feel like 2021 is the year where I was thriving. It was a really good year for me. And I look at myself in this year and I'm like, wow, I was so, maybe not fearless, but I was really showing myself and it felt quite authentic and I was very self-expressive. And in the last 2 years, I have kind of withdrawn for like so many reasons, but I talked to my therapist about it because I was like, I kind of miss the person who I was. But then life happened and I went through so much, especially in the last year, and I have to be honest, the last 7 months have not been easy for me or for us. One of my favorite quotes that I always say is, I actually need to tell you, wait. I wonder if I already mentioned it before. A mind that is stretched by new experiences can never go back to its old dimensions. And I love this because I feel like that's really what happened to me. I've had experiences that I wouldn't even say they dimmed my light, but they shifted the paradigm of the world as I see it. And now I'm doing the adjustments because I have been questioning everything about myself, everything about what I do, and that was very healthy for me. And even though I kind of miss how like free-spirited I was and how naive in a way, but I don't think that's going anywhere. Like, I think it's still part of me, and right now maybe I don't express it because I'm going through a phase where I am growing and I'm going through growing pains. So now it's not the period to express this, but it is part of me. But the big realization I've had, and that's what I think is super interesting, is that we as humans, we may think that we are a certain way or that we like certain things or we have certain beliefs. But in reality, these are not our true core beliefs or our core likes and dislikes or our true opinions, because there's so much conditioning going on. And something that I realized is that I created this online image, and to me it always felt very authentic because authenticity is very important to me. But I feel like that, I mean, every single person who happens online creates an online persona. That's like a fact. And it felt always very authentic to me. But one thing that I realized is that there was also conditioning happening. So when I put out something and I got a lot of positive feedback, I registered, oh, this is good. Like, it's good when I do this. It's good when I speak about this. It's good when I have these opinions. And that conditioned a version of me that it wasn't inauthentic. It was just drawn into a direction where I would say I neglected other real and authentic parts of me. To be more concrete, let's say I really like cars. And I talk about cars all the time. But every time I talk about a BMW, people are like, oh, wow, that's amazing. You really like BMWs. Like, we also love BMWs. And yes, I do like BMWs, but in reality, I'm really like a Mercedes type of girl. This is such a stupid example, but once I'm able to speak about certain things I'm not able to speak about yet, you will understand. But that's like my whole point. Like, I've been questioning everything about myself, everything about my life, and I think in life, we have periods where we are just almost like a bit like a stock market. I don't see myself downgrading. I just feel like, okay, we start here, we go up, 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 up. And now we're at so let's say this was 2021. And now we're here because we're going to be propelled forward. And this will continue. And I think it's very healthy to have these periods where instead of going full out and putting yourself out there like very intensely, it's healthier to sit back a little bit, observe, journal, read, reflect, And that's what I've been doing. And that's been very healthy for me. And I've had so many realizations that have been brewing in the background for months or years even. I think subconsciously they're always there. But what I realized is that it will help me to propel into my most authentic and my best self. So I'm very excited about that. But I have to say that this period is really uncomfortable. Like, it's really uncomfortable not knowing what's to come, not knowing where I'm going. It's really uncomfortable with a big major life change. I don't know if you've ever had this like transitional phase between like old and new. If you did, you know what I'm talking about. It is really uncomfortable, and I really understand why people are not liking to do it, so they don't end up doing it at all. But I think it's one of the most important things you can do in your whole life. Anyway, so I'm in LA. The thing that I find really interesting about LA is that it's one of the loneliest cities I know. I came here for the first time in 2015, and I remember how I was just blown away by the city. I came here with a friend and she showed me around and everything was amazing. And I was like, wow, I love it here. Like, what an amazing city. So I kind of lived here for a few months, and then I came back and I stayed for another few months, and I like semi-lived here. And then I realized after a few months that it's a very lonely city. And yes, when you arrive, you're like, wow, I made so many new friends. Everybody wants to hang out with me. This is amazing. And then after a few months, when you're not the new person in town anymore, people just show you how not important you are. And I'm from a little small town in Germany where I grew up among friends, where friendships were placed very highly. Like, I've always had high quality friendships throughout my life. Now, back then, for me, there are certain rules for friendships that make a good friendship strong. Like, just because I see you at a party every other week, it doesn't mean we're friends, you know? There needs to be more. And I realized that here, the people that I encountered, that's not for all, but the ones that I encountered, they weren't really good at making connections. And then I realized that after a few months, I just felt really lonely here, like more lonely than anywhere else. And it was also a weird period of my life. I was disconnected from everybody and I was just lost. So I like coming here for a little bit, and I especially view it as a time of solitude. Like, it's a really, really good place to disconnect, to focus on yourself, to read, to focus on your wellness. And I know you can have different lives here. Like, you can also go crazy and party. But for me, I always use LA as a time for reflection, and especially because I'm so far away from everything. It really feels like I'm so disconnected. It's a beautiful place to disconnect. Nature's really, really, really something. And I had this realization that in LA, you're really very close to nature. And the nature is so beautiful. It's unreal. The sunsets, the trees, the flowers, the grass, the hills, so beautiful. Everything is so beautiful. But then there's like very, very little human contact. So here, sometimes I go through days and I don't see people. Whereas in New York, the second I step my foot outside New York, it's people everywhere. Like, you're so in the midst of people. And it doesn't mean that you cannot feel lonely in New York. I think you can, but it's such a people city. And I walk everywhere. I'm always seeing people and I just love it. So yeah, I think LA is a beautiful place for solitude, and it's been very healthy for me to be here and to do my focus on self